going to start with a brief opening statement from Coach, then we'll take questions as we always do. Just raise your hand and we'll come around.
Starting off with Garrett Williams. Garrett Williams tore his ACL, so he'll be out for the rest of the year. Going to the Garrett Schrader thing once again, Garrett was cleared to play. Doctors, trainers, he had even participated in the practices, and watching him in the first half, I just did not feel like he had all of his tools with him. I'm going to always be in a situation where I'm going to try to protect our guys. Certain opponents, he may have been able to play the entire game, but not against those cats. Those guys they're big, they're fast, they're flying around, they're excellent athletes. Obviously upper tier 4- and 5-star guys, and you could tell that the stuff that we needed him to do, he was not going to be as effective against those guys as other people. So I made the decision to make a change at quarterback. Garrett wanted to stay in. Garrett wanted to play. He's a competitor, but sometimes we got to protect people from themselves, and I wanted to make sure I protected my guy. We have an opportunity to play a fantastic Pitt Panther team. They've had they're the team that's done the best job versus Tennessee, which is one of the hottest teams in the country. They have a very prolific running attack with Izzy, someone that's already over 1,000 yards in rushing the football. Pat Narduzzi does a fantastic job, and they're going to always play fantastic defense and run the football. And we all know how the Pitt Panthers play, and we all know how Coach Narduzzi likes his teams to play in football games. So we understand that that's a big task, and we're excited about the opportunity. We're banged up, but we're going to try to heal up to as best as we can to put our best foot forward down there at Pittsburgh. So any questions?
Looking at Schrader's health for this week, what's kind of going to be the split, I guess, between him and Carlos, maybe taking first team reps? Like, how likely is it that Carlos potentially gets a start on Saturday?
It's too much information, Emily, for me to give out. The Coach Narduzzi and those guys, they're excellent and they're good coaches. So all that stuff is into consideration behind the curtain, but I just can't talk about that stuff in the press conference.
And I will say, looking back at film, now that you've had a chance to kind of review Carlos's performance, what kind of positives and negatives were you able to take away from what he did?
Well, first of all, he was 50% throwing the football. He had a touchdown throw, which was excellent. I want to say he had 2 touchdown throws. I might be blanking up here a little bit. The interception was not necessarily his fault. The interception was a defensive lineman being blocked at the line of scrimmage that got his paw up, which they're taught to do, and deflected the ball, and the linebacker made a good play on it. I think that he did some good things and he did some bad things. The biggest thing when someone gets their first opportunity to play in a new system is to get out there and get the kinks out. We all got a chance to look at him. Okay, that's what we saw. If and when he gets his next opportunity, you would like him to do better than what he did the first time. And that's when you find out whether they do better or worse, which tells you what you have.
Brad?
Coach, you mentioned you're banged up a little bit there. Just wondering what the lessons are you take away from playing 2 teams like this consecutively and where you're at in terms of depth. You're always talking about the hippos and the elephants that you need.
I think, first of all, we need to go back and say we really played 3 teams, because NC State is exactly the same way. You've got NC State, you got Clemson, you've got Notre Dame. All 3 styles are similar, and especially when you think that 2 of the 3 teams did not have their lead quarterback, and then the other team actually went to their backup quarterback. So you really played the same game 3 times in a row, and now you're playing your next opponent is similar to that style. So a lot of carnage going on in there. There's a lot of banging going on in there, but it's not going to change. And everybody's banged up this time of year, and you got to find a way to make a difference, find a way to help your guys win.
Do you know, with the injuries that the defense specifically has gone through all throughout the season, just what you can say about the next man up approach and the resiliency of this mob getting through the 6-2 so far?
The first thing I went back, I've watched the tape a bunch of times, and I'm watching Kayvon Darton in there, and I'm sitting there going, wow, the stuff that he's doing, and then to think that, 1 year ago he didn't have a scholarship, and the guys that he's doing it against, God, such heart. But you watch all those guys, they really are playing really hard, and they really are giving their best. I can't say enough about them. And then even the backups that come in are doing okay or really good jobs, which is surprising, which is what's really keeping the defense together. Those cats were big, and there was no room to wiggle in there. Those splits were shoe to shoe. There's a lot of time it was 13 personnel, 22 personnel out there. One back, 3 tight ends. 2 tight ends, 1 back, 1 wide receiver. It was some heavy formations and some old-fashioned football going on. And we understand, and we need to keep playing, and we will.
Coach, obviously the injury to Garrett Williams, that's really tough to hear. How much of an impact can he still make on the sidelines for this team as one of the leaders of the squad?
Well, he is one of our leaders, and I just got through talking to him in the training room. And in fact, I've been talking to him since Saturday, and his mom, and his dad. And Garrett is a cool cat, and he's Syracuse through and through. Nothing but orange running through his veins, and he wants nothing but the best for his family. And we want nothing but the best for him, and we will stand beside him, and there's no doubt that he will stand beside us. Thank you for that question.
Anthony and then Ed.
Is there anyone specifically that you're hoping to step up in place of Garrett?
In place of Garrett? Garrett hasn't stepped down yet. You're talking about Williams?
Yeah.
Okay, use last names. Come on. Use last names. Isaiah came in, and he did an okay job. We've got some other cats as well. I think they're going to all practice their tails off. Coach White does a nice job, and Coach West does a nice job of getting those guys ready. Sometimes when you lose one bona fide starter like that, sometimes it's not just one guy stepping up. Sometimes it's a rotation type thing between people based off of maybe what an offense is trying to do to you or what point of the game it is. So we're going to have to wait and see how that rotation goes.
And then you singled out Kalon. What specifically has he done to kind of mitigate him, like his lack of size against like Notre Dame and Clemson?
He is just a tough, persistent, I don't even know what kind of animal you would call it. I don't even want to give you an analogy. He just doesn't stop. He's persistent. He's tough. He shouldn't be able to do the things that he does, yet he finds a way to get it done.
Dino, you mentioned Carlos Del Rio Wilson and what he did, going back and looking at the film, spreading the ball out and taking those chances down the field. Can you give us some takeaways from what you saw with that and the fact that you got a lot of receivers involved? Well,
we'd have done that with whoever was in. Based off the score of the game, we had to lengthen the game. See, that's what a lot of people don't understand, the analytics of things. If somebody's running the ball and they actually have the lead on you, every time they run the ball, the clock moves. So you have to decide whether you can run the ball and throw the ball and get back into a football game, or whether you need to stop the clock even more to be able to have an opportunity to catch them. I thought we were in a more of a balanced situation for the most part until we got that kick blocked. And once we've got that kick blocked, we needed to slow down the clock as much as we can if we were going to go after them and try to run them all the way down from that situation.
Did you like his vision, Carlos's vision out there?
It was okay. There's things that he did good and there's things he did wrong. It's not that easy. And the other thing is you got to always remember is that most teams do not, okay? I would say almost, I'm not going to put a number on. Most teams do not prepare for the backup quarterback. So therefore, they had no tape on Carlos. Now people have tape on Carlos. So it gets more difficult as you go down the road, as they get more and more tendencies on what you like to do and what you don't like to do.
Is it a point of emphasis to work more receivers into practice, getting number 1 reps to try to find a number 2, number 3 guy behind the run game?
We work receivers all the time. It's not like it's just throw the ball to a Rondé. The quarterbacks are going through reads based off of what the defense is doing. So we work guys all the time. We had more drops in that game than we've had in any game. If somebody wants to be the next receiver, catch the football.
Coach, how do you go about as a staff preparing the backup quarterback to play?
Say it again, please.
How do you go about preparing a backup quarterback to play from a coaching staff perspective?
You don't. You normally have to. You normally don't want to split reps. When you split reps, you normally split performance. So you really try to do it one or the other, but that's not the case. So we've got to play that game between who looks like they're going to get ready, who's not going to look like they're going to get ready. Talk to the training room, try to do the best thing for the family, and getting the guy that's most ready, prepared to play a football game that you're going to try to win.
Kate and then Brad.
When you look at this Pitt team that you guys are up against, what are the biggest challenges that they present for you?
Going to play at their place, you know, they're drawing extremely well. It'll be extremely loud up there. Again, we're playing at a venue that we haven't had any success since I've been here there. And, you know, they're a team that likes to get physical and get in the middle of it. Their defense is extremely aggressive. It's a grab, 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 hold, take PI penalties if the guy's running by you. It's a system that's been around a long time. It's a system the head coach ran when he was at Michigan State. His DC runs the exact same system. They are on the same page. And they've been doing it a long time. And they don't change. They get people to fit the system, and they keep doing the same thing over and over again. So it's unusual for them to not be successful on defense. And I still believe they have been successful this year on defense. They've just got to get some things straightened up offensively. But they've got that big receiver making plays down the field. Quarterback's been getting better game after game. And I want to say the North Carolina game, they either had the lead going into the fourth quarter. It was a very, very close game before NC opened it up with 21 points in the fourth.
Brent, then Emily.
Coach, knowing the score obviously dictates play calling as the game goes, but how would you rate Sean Tucker's usage in this past game?
I think it was a lot better than Clemson, don't you?
And to follow up on that,
what's the benefit of having Coach Anai and Coach Beck on the sideline? There was a couple shots of you guys down there, and you kind of had your arms around them, and you're having conferences, and I mean, you're all in the same headset, but how much does it make a difference when they're right there with you and you can have those conversations?
You know, it's no different than looking at athletes when, you know, someone says, hey, well, you know, he was cleared by the doctor, he was cleared by the trainer. Okay, well, when you're looking somebody in their eyes, you know, if you've played the game, and I have, you know whether a guy is straight, not straight. When you watch people in motion, my whole thing is I watch people in practice. You do a lot of talking, but you do more watching. And then you can tell if somebody's hamstring's a little hurt, ankle's a little, you can tell just by the way they move through space. That's what our job is. So you can also tell maybe a little bit sooner than someone else that doesn't know what they're looking for, whether the guy has a little giddy up or whether there's something going on. And my big thing is, since I've been a head coach, is I'm really big. I will watch the game. There's times where I will take people out of the game because they just like, that was a really hard hit where everybody thinks it's normal, and it's like, that was exactly the right spot. That's a hard hit, get him out of the game. And, you know, the kids are running off and say, I'm okay. Well, sit here for 2 or 3 plays and keep talking to me. I'll let you know if you're okay. But I'm always going to do that. I'm always going to try to protect those guys. And kind of lost your first part because I'm thinking back.
The coaches, having the coaches down there with it.
But when you have the coaches there, you get to do the exact same thing. I mean, you get to sit there and talk to them and say, hey, I see it this way. And we got the headsets on. We can do that. But a lot of other people have headsets on too. And sometimes I just want to have a conversation with those two. So we take them off, and then we'll go over there and we'll talk.
Emily?
I noticed on Saturday that it felt like you guys were rotating players through the defense pretty early in the game. And I asked Michael about that, if that was like a specific tactic or just something that ended up happening. He said it was, so are you saying that wasn't planned?
No, I'm saying we needed to. That's the first thing. And you got the camera on me. I said, we needed to.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, just how important is that going to be, and kind of doing that to keep players fresh going into the end of the season? You guys are on the road.
Yeah.
All these other factors.
We have to try to find a way to keep the guys fresh. I've said this last time. I said, you know, when teams are running the ball, it takes 11 guys on defense to stop the run. And you're gonna say, well, it takes the same thing on pass. If you've played this game, you can find a way to take a breather on a pass play. If you know the ball's going the other way and you're on the other side and you've got your guy covered and you know, it looks like the play's going out of bounds, you know when to kind of turn it down a little bit to save a little energy. You can't do that on a running play. The ball will cut back, you're not in the right position, there's a touchdown, and then you got poo on your face, And now all the coaches and all the family knows, and we will show this tape in here, that you weren't running to the ball full speed. So it takes a lot of energy to stop the run. And you have to be able to rotate the people that you have. Now, the good thing is hopefully you've got some people to rotate, because if not, they're taking every snap.
Okay.
Complete tangent, lighter note, but I think it was 6 years ago now that Jim Boeheim said that he only hands out the big candy bars on Halloween. Are you guys Halloween people? And for the kids that come to your house, what do they get?
This is, I have my neighbors know that, A, they're battling for second place. It does not matter. I will do whatever I need to do. We're going to get Judge out of free agency. You're not going to win, okay? We take first place. Everybody comes to our house. The kids and we get to interact, and that's the way it is. And they can be a strong number 2, and they'll stop by their house too, but they're not going to miss our house.
Anthony?
You mentioned the run a little bit. What can you guys do against Pitt to make sure that they don't have the same success running the ball that Clemson and Notre Dame did? I
bet you they would love for me to answer that question. We've been up all night, and we've been at it today, and I broke away from it today. And we need to do something different. We need not do the same thing. Obviously, the same thing did not work. Definition of insanity, right? So we're going to do something different, and hopefully that's going to be enough for us to all have a different feeling in here next Monday, and we can be smiling at each other and feeling a lot better.
Playing this game and coaching the game, you know what it's like to obviously have winning streaks and losing streaks. What's the message to the team after these first 2 losses of the season, and how have you seen the locker room? Has it changed at all?
The biggest thing is, I think, the opponents. It's not, no one likes to lose, especially when you feel like you have an opportunity to win. But I think the biggest thing is they need to understand that, okay, we lost, but we're sitting 3-1 in the ACC Atlantic. Some people, I see it as one of the top 3 sides of conferences in college football. You've got the SEC West, you got the Big Ten East, and you got the ACC Atlantic. And we're sitting 3-1. We got 4 left. Last time I checked, I don't think we're tied with anybody in second place. We're sitting in second place. The team in front of us has got, I believe, 2 more games to play, maybe 3. I don't follow their record that much. But if we hold serve, who knows how this thing is going to end up when it's all said and done. So non-conference is over. We're 3-1 in non-conference. We lost to Notre Dame. Okay? And now it's all conference play. We've got 1 loss, and we've got to see how we're going to finish this thing up.
Take 2 more. We'll start with Brandon and then Kate.
Coach, you had a meeting with the team in midfield after the game. Kind of wondering what the thinking is of that. Is that just kind of spur of the moment? Let's have a
spur of the moment.
Yeah, kind of have an Ohana right there on the field, or what's
kumbaya.
Yeah, little kumbaya.
Yeah.
What's the difference between that and like doing it in the locker room?
I think the biggest thing is that S means something. It's on our chest. It means something, and when we step inside that thing, there's nothing but truth, justice, and the American way.
Last question, Kate.
Jahad Carter at Clemson with the fumble recovery for the touchdown, and then last week he had an interception. What has impressed you most about his game this season?
Well, I'll tell you, I think the biggest thing is I thought Jahad had a fantastic freshman year. And then he came back, and we talk about, I'm never going to talk negative about a guy. I'm never going to talk negative about a coach. But I would say that his sophomore year was just okay. Not as exciting as his freshman year is. And the thing that we wanted was, we wanted to see him bounce back with one of those years. And we think that he's got the beginning of doing that after how he performed at Clemson. He had some happenings, in the latest game. But I think overall we really like how he started this season off. And it's going to be really fun to see how he can finish it. And if he finishes off the right way, I think he's already opened up some eyes where he may be really excited about some of the things that may happen to him later on when this season's over and they're writing about it. So that's it. You guys good?
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.